I got acquainted with TikTok today. And, rolled through it for a while, saw the pretty girls, the pictures of beautiful hillside villages in faraway places like the Himalayas, the constant climate disaster, the floods in India, the fires in Maui, the bizarre science fiction pictures of doctor UFO stuff, and the hysteria around Niger's coup and friction between the United States and Russia and stuff. I got the idea. I can't imagine what it's going to be like to be a generation that grows up on these sensibilities, a constant grind of mixtures of fact and tabloids and science fiction and actual information. I mean, it's really obnoxious. You know, I ask people if they think it should be banned. I hear Montana banned it. On balance, its overall mystique is awful. But, you know, I was watching Horn. There's this gentry of African scholars in America who owe their professional careers and their income as publishers to Western freedoms who fall over themselves in bizarre black fascist ideas. It's like Horn seemed to be saying that the man who was deposed in Niger deserved to be because he represented a minority. I'm not, because he came from a minority. He said something about him being Arab is as plain as the nose on your face or something. I don't understand that. How a scholar can imply that a man should be deposed because he's from a minority. If he's elected, it's the will of the democratic processes. I don't understand. I'm not sure I want to try to understand some TikTok stuff. It's spilled over the YouTube, but there's some fiery rhetoric about French colonialism or something. It's just handling the matters of the day. I mean, everybody knows we need to make institutional changes because of the climate disaster that's unfolding. World War III isn't an answer to the climate disaster. I don't know who thinks it's going to remedy black legacies of pain to destroy the earth. But, it's odiously like the claim. NATO seems to think that anything Democrat has to prove its bona fides by being anti-Russian, which is absurd. The Russians were accommodating reform, and Yanukovych was elected in the Ukraine. What business do we have going in there and deposing him the way that we did? I mean, it's as stupid as what they did in Niger. I mean, they evidently didn't murder the leader who they took by force the control levers from, which is sad. I mean, that they would force their way into an elected official's office and take control that way. Whether it's in the Ukraine or in Niger, it's a terrible thing to do. It's divorced from the processes and procedures of ordinary daily life. I mean, when I look at the British, and the way that they dealt with me, Ken Crimson came to Carnegie Mellon, played in the gym, and I was part of that province. I just meandered in and sat down. I listened politely to their warm up. I was more interested in them than a lot of people were, so I had good reasons for that. And they saw me as an unwelcome presence, and they arranged to get my belly messed up so that my body rumbles, so that my unwelcome presence now announces itself when I'm in cafes. I can't stay very long. Out of politeness, I have to move on. And this is the Gurdjieff voyage of um, mindset that comes from these European colonials. So I'm not any stranger to resentment for European interference, but doesn't make me want to go out and depose an elected leader. It makes me want to engage the conversation. I've done research on Gurdjieff. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything Hitlerian about his books. I mean, there may not be. He may be a very steady, wise beard when it comes to historical review of things that have gone wrong between peoples in places like the United States in the development of civilization, but that doesn't make him a pontiff that can disrupt the ordinary affairs of a foreign country. And I don't like the idea of Nigeria and Niger going into battle. They seem like handsome, tall, decent human beings who've been part of the arms gluttony, of stock and trade of merchandising and green khakis and with rifles and so on, and grenade launchers and all that other jazz. But, what are you going to say, Mr. Horn? Are you going to say that the Nigerian sock puppets are honorary the Frenchmen because they don't want somebody deposed who was elected, even if he was a minority figure? I don't understand your reasoning. Black people are entitled to dignity. You would think you would be reinforcing that idea. There's dignity in being elected and holding office and being protected on principle. And ordinary processes of reform-minded wills of the people to recognize for themselves what's best for themselves. And that's what happened in the Ukraine, as somebody said, no, we know better. And it ignited a riot and a revolution. It was like what Trump tried to pull on January 6th. You say you don't agree with Trump trying to overthrow the democratically elected Biden by force. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't think that anybody should support that. I don't think anybody should support what was done to Yanukovych. I don't think anybody should support what was done to the fellow in Niger. By what reasoning would you support one and not the other? If the only thing in your mind is power. I don't think the issue should be power, it should be cooperation. We don't have a strategic grasp of cooperation studies. And as a result, the the pharaohs start to emerge in the media. And are people supposed to interpret who Putin is through what they see in TikTok? Is that what they're supposed to do? I mean, I'm not selling his virtues. He's clearly authoritarian and being promoted as a personality cult. He's making terrible decisions. And he can't be voted out. But the mess is one that was made by being so anti-Russian that you claimed that a coup of NATO was democratic process. By that explanation, the situation in Niger is a democratic process too. It doesn't seem to me to be a reasonable mentality. We need to get our heads together, a little bit of consistency instead of just picking and choosing sides like the whole world is some post Cold War honky tonk for people to prove their bluster.